To be or not to be, Joshua chose to be. Thank you, Anthony Joshua, for saving boxing. You know, I've been sitting down thinking, have you seen Anthony Joshua's resume? And if you've seen it, can you compare it to Tyson Fury, who's supposed to be the king in the heavyweight division? Joshua's resume blows my mind compared to Tyson Fury's. Is Joshua the best heavyweight one in England since Lennox Lewis? Or is it Tyson Fury? I think it may be Anthony Joshua.
Welcome to Deep Waters as ESPN analyst Tim Bradley getting Shakespearean on us here on ProBox TV. You gotta love that. George DiMatteis, Chris Algieri, you got George Jakovic, Paulie Malignaggi. So you get boxing, you get movies, and you get Shakespeare here on ProBox TV. It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's talk about what happened this past weekend, Chris, because the heavyweights, they stole the show, especially Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, the big heavyweights. I mean, we had super heavyweights in the ring this weekend, and they didn't disappoint. I mean, great show. Anthony Joshua did what he was supposed to do. Tim said it best. You know, he put boxing on his back, and he closed the show, man. And he did it in the kind of fashion that it was scary. Like he was just cool, calm, collected. After that second knockdown, he was like, "Yep, this is how this is supposed to go. I'm going to finish this up, and we're going to go home." Mm-hmm. And he just walked across the ring, threw another right hand, and boom, that was all she wrote.
Yeah, George.
Hey, I want to give before we get into all the heavyweight stuff, a little shout out to our colleague Teddy Atlas, the trainer, Hall of Famer. He was out in Saudi Arabia. He was out in Saudi Arabia for the fights. I spoke to his son yesterday. He was training some kids out there. He tore his ACL early in the workout, kept working out for another hour, ended up tearing his meniscus. So Teddy may or may not be with us this week. He's going to get surgery, but he did it, Paulie, to honor his commitment. Tore his ACL and kept going. So that shows you the toughness and commitment of Teddy Atlas. So I didn't want to throw it left like that, but shout out to Teddy, and we hope he's okay. But Tim Bradley, you're saying Joshua might be the best fighter in the world right now.
Well, look, obviously he's not better than Usyk. Usyk beat him twice. But this version of Joshua that we're seeing, and I know how some of you guys are arguing and say, well, he was supposed to do that to Ngannou. I get it, yes. But have you seen this guy's run and what he's been able to do in the last year and a half? He's looked fantastic. And, we look back at some of the things that we said back in the past about him switching trainers and that trainers are not the issue. It's him. You know what? I realized that the actual trainer switches was actually fantastic for his career because he took a little bit of knowledge from each of these trainers. Whether he's with them 1 camp, 2 camps, 3 camps, it didn't matter. He took a little bit of knowledge from these guys and he packed it all in one. And now he's with Ben Davison, who is, I believe, one of the best younger trainers out there who understands the sweet science of boxing. He understands that one plus one is 2. A lot of these trainers don't understand that, and he's comfortable and he's relaxed. And I think Ben Davison has transformed his mentality because that's what it boils down to with AJ. AJ has always had decent skills, but I think his skill set is a little bit more now than it was in the past. But more importantly, it's this confidence that he has. And Ben Davison, I believe, has something to do with that. And that's the reason why we're seeing this form of Anthony Joshua. Now, just to talk about the statement that I mentioned, look at AJ's resume. Just look at all the top contender guys that he's faced. All right. Look at all the names on there and then go and take a look at Fury's. Just do that for me for a second. Tyson Fury, or this version of Tyson Fury, the last version that we saw of Tyson Fury, that guy doesn't beat AJ. That guy right there does not beat AJ. And I'm not sure if Tyson Fury is going to get past Usyk. I'm really not. I don't know which form of Fury we're going to get. But if Fury is to beat Usyk, of course they got a rematch. But I want to see the King of England. I want to see these guys AJ and Tyson Fury go head to head. I want to see who's the best of England, if not, the world at the end of the day.
You know what, man? You made a good point there when you talked about his confidence and his skill set have gotten better. I think one complements the other, right? I think when you notice the stuff in the gym is working for you and you notice you're adding some wrinkles to your style, which I think has happened with Davidson. I just think every trainer is giving him a little something. You're right, Tim. But I also think with Davidson, he's been able to complement his natural skill set and add his natural talent and add the skill, more of a skill set in there, a better rhythm, an educated lead hand, and a confident Joshua was already the kind of guy, we saw that earlier in his career, who liked to take control of the ring, liked to command the ring, and liked to be the boss in there. I feel like he's gone back to doing that these last couple of fights, gone in there, become the boss of the ring, but not so much in a method where he's trying to bulldoze you. He's actually taking control of the ring with an educated lead hand. It's been beautiful to watch, really, the last two fights. And okay, you're right, Champ. You mentioned that fans are going to say he's supposed to do that to Ngannou, but I also I sense a confidence in Joshua that I haven't seen in a while, and the confidence that I see in Joshua combined with. Of course, we're talking about a sport where you're only as good as your last performance. Combined with Fury's last performance, it's getting people talking. Now, don't get me wrong, Fury could come in and maybe, who knows, destroy Usyk. You know, the guy is capable of anything too himself. He's capable of his worst performances and he's capable of the best performances. And then we're back on this conversation again as far as who would win and who wouldn't. But right now, the way the momentum has gone in favor of Joshua. Usyk didn't look great in his last fight against Dubois. Wow. Fury didn't look great in that fight against Ngannou. Right now, AJ has become the talk of the heavyweight division. It may only last 2 months. Who knows? We'll see if somebody comes out of the May 18th fight with all the stars behind them and all the momentum behind them. But right now, AJ has become the talk of the heavyweight division. And when you got a guy like AJ who has all the star power and he once again becomes the star of the heavyweight division, man, it's going to be a lot harder for guys to overtake that because AJ had that it factor all the time. We already know from when he turned pro, there was always that it factor. Not everybody has that it factor. AJ has that it factor. So if AJ once again puts himself on the pedestal, even without the titles, and combined with the it factor he has, now it's a lot harder, even with the titles, for those other guys to be that guy everybody's talking about. You got to go fight AJ no matter what, because now he's taking command again. Granted, it's easier for him as long as he looks good. He to control that heavyweight division picture in the heavyweight division, the talk of the heavyweight division. But now that he's done it, there's pressure on Fury and Usyk, man. They got to really, really perform now because you got to keep up with that performance. Belts be damned. AJ right now is the star of the heavyweight division.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you something before you expand on this. Should we temper our enthusiasm for this fight a little bit? Because, yes, it was a spectacular knockout, but he knocked out a guy who was coming in with one professional boxing match under his belt. So there's no doubt, Chris, it was a spectacular knockout, but should we temper this a little bit, consider who he was fighting?
No, I don't think so, because look at what Ngannou did in his last fight against Tyson Fury. And sure, Anthony Joshua, AJ went out there and did what he was supposed to do, but a very dangerous guy in front of him. And you could see that even in the fight. He had to be cautious. Ngannou's still a very, very powerful guy. He obviously shocked the world and shocked Tyson Fury when they fought. So no, I don't think we should temper it. Even though the guys had one fight and it was a loss, it was a 10-round contest with one of the best heavyweights in the world, if not the best heavyweight in the world. And it was a razor-thin split decision. So, no, I think even though Ngannou is a crossover fighter now from MMA to boxing, I mean, he looks more like a boxer than anyone else who's ever done it. So I do think this is going to rate very highly in terms of his performance and also just the way they did it. Both of you, Champs, brought up great points. Tim, the different trainers that Anthony's been working with and collecting new data points and getting better. And then, Paul, you mentioned the confidence. Hey, what about the activity? We talk all the time how inactivity is plaguing the sport. Joshua, I believe, has fought 5 times in the past 14, 15 months. What's a bigger confidence booster than that? The guy's turnaround. He's the busiest heavyweight in the world is Anthony Joshua, which is wild to think about. He's the busiest heavyweight in the world, and he's the only guy who was fighting in that span where there was no heavyweight fights happening. He has stayed busy. He's honestly he's gone back to old school. Like, it's a grassroots approach. Different trainers, learning on the job, staying busy. You don't normally see guys who are multimillionaires doing what Anthony Joshua did to get back to where he is. I think this version of Anthony Joshua is just as good as he's ever been. I mean, this guy is bad news. He looked like a stone-cold killer the other night. And that confidence, man, you got a guy with that kind of skill set, that kind of body, that kind of punch. forget it. I mean, he's going to be a danger for anyone in the world today.
Look,
I was making a video game, and they had that where you can make your own player. If I'm making a heavyweight champion of the world, I'm making Anthony Joshua. That's the guy I'm going to put together in the video game because he looks the part, he acts the part, he sounds the part, and man, now look what he's doing to guys. I mean, I think this is his third knockout in a row. This is what we need to see. We need heavyweights knocking each other out and staying busy.
Look. Ngannou, for the first, I would say, minute or so of that fight, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, it was like, you can say, like, damn, Ngannou's actually in there. He's actually looking pretty good. He's actually winning this round.
Until he got punched in the face. And then he had the plan until he got punched in the face.
But then he switched southpaw.
Yeah, it was bad.
You know, usually that was a bad thing to do, to switch southpaw against Anthony Joshua, because Joshua just got done fighting the best southpaw in the world, and he recently fought a southpaw as well. You know, in his most recent fight. And it's like, dude, why would you even switch southpaw? And when he switched southpaw,
I think the jab was bothering him. I think the jab was bothering him. Joshua's jab was bothering him.
It was the jab. However, see, Ngannou, he has great hands and reflexes in catching punches. You do that in MMA. You know, you parry shots. You knock down shots. You clog the punching lanes. And he just barely missed that right hand. Joshua snuck it past that guard, and he barely missed it, and it caught him right on the chin. But yeah, you're right. It was all set up off the jab. It was.
Damn, I'm gonna disagree with you. Got to see it again. He went to parry the jab with his lead hand. He never saw the right hand coming.
Josh, a cross parry.
He threw out that soft jab because he'd been sticking him with a hard jab. He threw out that soft jab, and Ngannou went like that, but he parried hard. You know how you're supposed to parry. Us boxers know you gotta just parry light.
You gotta go right here. Yeah.
He went to really like swipe at it.
So
I think the fact that he swiped at it means his full attention was on it, because he swiped at it a little bit too much, and then the right hand followed right behind. So he's looking jab and never arrives. So he just swipes and boom, and then he takes that right hand. I think he got hit with a shot he never saw. And that changed his life around, you know what I mean? Because he was never. That took the excitement out of him. The way you were talking about, how he came out the way you were describing, like, oh man. Well, then he got punched in the face.
Yeah,
and
Francis has never been hurt. He's never been hurt in MMA. He's never been hurt in the cage. He's never been hurt in a boxing ring. He's never been hit with a shot that's why he looked the way he did. He looked surprised. He didn't know what was going on with his body. The first time you get hurt, it's a scary thing, man. You get touched on your chin, and then your body's not working. What's going on? That looked like the first time Francis Ngannou ever got hurt.
And then
let me ask you guys. I want you guys to react to something. Lennox Lewis posted something on X, and he said the fraternity of boxing owes Joshua some gratitude for showing the world that you don't play boxing. Pauline, Chris, I was trying to get a rise out of you guys. Like, isn't he defending boxing? Lennox Lewis seems to feel like, he was defending.
I'm gonna take the opposite route. I'm actually getting sick and tired of that talk. Like boxing doesn't need to be saved from MMA. There was never any doubt. We've already had a boxer go with MMA and become a world champion. Holly Holm did it with
she beat Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
So, they will never, in the existence of the sport of boxing, an MMA guy will never come over and win a world championship in boxing. So there was nothing to say. We've already done to them what they can never do to us. So the whole argument, like, we can talk about this fight. We can talk about the way he broke it down. We can talk about the popularity of Ngannou. We can talk about Ngannou the person. We can talk about Joshua and where he goes from here. We can talk about a lot of things. One thing that I'm getting sick and tired of is the corny, we save boxing. What do we save?
But some people think it, Paulie.
No, because don't let me say what they are. All right, don't let me say what they are. All right, this is really.
Tell me what I am, Paulie, because I'm letting you know. Go ahead, say it.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, man. There's so much more to talk about with this. That's not the conversation that needs to happen. Again, they will never, ever have a guy that comes over to our sport and wins a world championship. We've already done it. Because a strike is a strike is a strike. You can always get lucky with a lucky punch. Not that Holly got lucky. Holly beat the crap out of Ronda. But you can always get lucky. Ray Mercer knocked out Tim Sylvia years ago. Wasn't for a championship, but Tim Sylvia had been a pretty good bona fide MMA fighter. Ray Mercer was the shot boxer. Ray Mercer went into the cage and hit Tim Sylvia with overhand right and knocked him out. You know what I mean? So again, a strike is a strike is a strike. You can always land one no matter how much better somebody is, and you might not put their lights out and win the fight. But in boxing, bro, we're too skilled at that particular striking art. So you're never going to hit us coming from a different sport with any shot like that. It's going to completely mesmerize us. I mean, Tyson went down. That was about as shocking as it's going to be. But even Fury with the fight in his hands couldn't close the show because, again, different kind of conditioning, different kind of a lot of things. I'll tell you what I wanted to go on. I want to go on something that matters because saving the sport doesn't matter. It's not something that needs to be talked about. We've already, like I said, they're never going to come over and win a championship. There is a difference there with when Ngannou goes through an MMA, regardless of if he's ever been hurt in MMA and what he goes through in boxing. Boxing gives you that 8 count when you go down. MMA, you can kind of like grab somebody, go to the ground, kind of survive. There's no break from when you get rocked or hurt or even go down, right? There's continuous action. Bro, sometimes that 8 count will give you like a second to think about, like, I don't want to be here anymore, man. Or you know, like you have nobody attacking you. It's just you and your thoughts, and you're getting the 8 counts. You know what I mean? Like
it also gives your opponent time to gather themselves and makes them more dangerous. I guess because Anthony knew exactly what he was going to do when Francis got up.
Listen, there's pros and cons because that's right. But you're actually right about that. But the other side of it is with no count, maybe some guys get knocked out like they do in MMA. Somebody gets rocked and the fight's over 2 seconds later.
Yeah, they hit him immediately.
In boxing, guys get rocked, they get up, and the fight sometimes continues. You know what I mean? Like for rounds on top of rounds. But there is the other side of that where you go down, and now you're taking an 8 count, and you're like, wow, I didn't even see that shot coming. Like, is this guy going to keep hitting me like this with shots I don't see coming? You know? Because like the champ Tim said, yo, Ngannou was aggressive. He was like, all right, okay. And after that first right hand, he was never that aggressive again the rest of the fight. He was present. You know, he got up. He's a champion. He as a fighter, he's a man. He's a man's man, and all that other stuff. I'll give Ngannou credit. He was present, but he never ever had the same mentality again. Once Joshua knocked him on his ass, never
he knew. Yeah, you're right, Paulie. To an extent, you are right. He knew that it was probably going to be over. There's no doubt about it. He just knew that he was outgunned.
Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face.
They get punched in the face, absolutely. But I'm just saying, for that minute, man, it was interesting for just that minute until he got hit in the face. It really was.
I was saying, Tim, I was saying the same thing you would say. And I was like, oh man, this guy came out confident. You know what I mean?
Now, where does Ngannou goes from here? Does he retire from boxing?
No.
Does he retire? Should he retire? I'm gonna tell you right now. I think he should retire. Because a devastating knockout like this, sometimes all it takes is one knockout. One knockout destroys your confidence. 1, 2, destroys your ability to be able to take a shot. This guy's never been out before. He got hit with a right hand, got set down, got hit with another one, got set down again, and then he went to sleep.
He got knocked out. He got knocked out so bad that MMA fans thought it was fake. That's how.
Yeah.
It was such a pristine knockout. MMA fans thought it was fake.
It was nasty. Bro.
I don't know, man. He looked the way he went down on that knee. That was scary.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, he put him in yoga position, bro, for real.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
He put him downward dog.
Yeah, it was no joke.
Oh, man.
The hanging lotus position or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Tim, to your point about comparing Joshua and Fury, I did a quick research here on my computer here. They have 2 opponents in common, just from the limited time I got to research. Otto Wallin and Vladimir Klitschko. Fury, unanimous decision victories over both of them. Joshua stopped both of them and didn't go the distance when Anthony Joshua fought Otto Wallin and Vladimir Klitschko. So you talked about comparing resumes. Joshua might be right up there with Tyson Fury. And don't forget, this week, Wednesday Night Fights. It's live from the Plant City, Florida. ProBox TV Event Center is going to be a great card. As usual, good fighters and great fights. Here's why Wednesday Night Fights is so good.
Wednesday Night Fights. On the next Wednesday Night Fights, March 13th, join us for the main event. Radovoje Hot Rod Kalajdzic steps into the ring with the Cuban Sullivan Barrera. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at proboxtv.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
All right, let's continue on with the heavyweights that happened on the Friday. The undercard, the fight before the co-main, if you will. Zhilei Zhang losing majority decision to Joseph Parker, who's another heavyweight that's rising after beating Deontay Wilder and then now beating Big Bang Zhang. So, George, let's talk about this one because Parker now, you could say he has a legitimate case to fight for the title or at least maybe fight Joshua to get to the world title.
Well, there's a pretty long line forming of guys who should be getting title shots, starting with Ergovich. But Paulie, you picked Parker to beat Zhang, and Parker is just as active, if not more active, than Joshua. You guys keep talking about activity. Parker's another active fighter, and Parker, Paulie, besides the 2 knockdowns, he was pretty dominant Friday night.
Yeah, he was active. He kept the consistency in the fight, and that's really what you need against a 40-plus-year-old guy. You know, I think when you take on a guy of that age, there's always going to be the savvy veteran mindset in him, and he's going to be dangerous. And of course, Zhang can punch a little bit, and so he's dangerous with there as well. The southpaw stance, all that other stuff. But the consistency can always overtake an older guy if you stay consistent. I'm not gonna say always. Sometimes they inject that good stuff and then they're consistent too. But for the most part, a 40-year-old guy, 40-plus-year-old guy cannot hold the consistency of a young guy as far as the pace and then that kind of output inside of a fight. They need more breaks during the action. They need to kind of savvy veteranship to give themselves breaks during the round and hope that you don't work during that moment. And that's what I think Parker kind of took over the fight mentally and physically, was the consistency in there. You know, there was big spots of fight where Zhang just wasn't getting off punches or wasn't getting off enough punches, and Parker kept trying. Also, Parker kept touching the body a little bit here and there. You know, the looked for the key shots like the overhand right and things of that nature. Even if shots didn't always get through fully, if Zhang has that high guard, Zhang wasn't getting back off enough as well. So even if you're blocking or partially blocking shots, if you don't punch back, you cannot win those rounds.
Bro, this second coming one of Joshua and also Parker, it's been unbelievable. I'm really a year and a half. It's been absolutely unbelievable, man. But what I notice about Parker is that he has the ability to slow down the pace of a fight.
Yes.
And the reason why he's able to is because he's so damn cerebral. He's so smart. He's active, his active upper body, you know, moving, feinting here, dropping levels, changing levels, you know, moving to the side. He's always making these guys think. And when this happens, what it does is it's like burning the candle on the other end of the stick. So you got 2 ends burning at the same time because your opponent's trying to anticipate of what you're trying to do, you know. So he's tense and he's waiting on the counter, you know, and then he's scared to throw himself. So he's burning energy as well. And I think that's what happened because the pace was set for Zhang to do his thing. It was a slow paced fight, but Parker started sneaking in. You know, he got up and Zhang let him off the hook several times, twice in the fight, where he shouldn't have let him off the hook. He should have went in there and went for the kill, and he didn't because he was afraid to run out of steam. However, you know, Parker's looking good, guys. He's looking fantastic. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight against Joshua again. I think those two right now are making a run for each other. I know that Joshua wants Fury, but a Parker and Joshua rematch, man, let's have it, man. Because Parker, I believe he's ready right now in this point in his career.
Yeah, Tim, you mentioned the cerebralness of Joe Parker. We got to talk about Andy Lee, man, in the corner. They're doing such a great job. That pairing of Parker and Andy Lee has revamped his entire career and his output. Listen, they're throwing the punch placement is the only other thing that I was going to add to what you guys said. His ability to put punches at the right place at the right time in order to set something up down the line. He's thinking ahead. He's playing chess, not checkers. Joe Parker is now. And with Zhang, I mean, this was classic Zhang in the good department and the bad department. The good department, good power, great puncher, drops Parker twice. In the bad, not active enough, not busy. When I saw the weigh-in, he came in at 292. I texted you guys, George and Paulie, and I was like, I don't like that. He's heavier this fight than he was his last fight. Sure, it's only a couple pounds, but when you're 292 and you got a 12-round fight with a guy like Joseph Parker, who's active, changes levels, is cutting angles, that the writing on the wall was there. And Paulie, I told you, I'm like, I think you're right, man. I think Parker's going to get this one based on seeing what I saw at that weigh-in.
Parker changing range kept the pace slow, Tim. Was a great point you make. Because it kept the pace slow because it didn't allow Zhang to fight. But Zhang couldn't close range. His feet are so slow, even if you want to get active. And then Parker kind of in and out, working the way he wants to work.
Up, down, in, out, left, right. Yes.
And they are going to rematch. I know we're going to wrap this, but they have a contractual rematch that Zhang had. So, Tim, the next fight they're having is against each other.
Yes. Well, you know what? Rematch clauses. He's the champion. He set the rematch in there. It was smart of him. However, I sometimes I just can't stand that rematch clause, man. They're good when they're great fights, but this fight was somewhat boring, man. You know, another thing that I noticed about Parker is that Parker doesn't mind making the fight boring. You know, he has enough concentration to be able to focus the entire 12 rounds and enough experience where you have a guy like Zhang that actually, or Zhang, that needs he needs you to stay still to be able to land that straight left hand, but he doesn't have the conditioning on the back end of the fight. Man. That's always been his Achilles heel, man, and it still is. So if Zhang doesn't fix that, his conditioning on the back end of this fight, he could lose again for the second time.
Yeah, I don't see how the fight really changes, honestly, in the rematch.
Yeah, Parker and Joshua, that would be a great rematch. The first one back in March 2018, Joshua won by unanimous decision. Don't forget, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here on ProBox TV, and March 13th, Wednesday Night Fights on ProBox TV, your boxing channel.